Today, we have an incredible interview with my pastor, Pastor Michael Scobey of Vibrant Church in the Woodlands, Texas. Now, here's the thing. This has a very special place in my heart because Vibrant was really ChurchCandy's very first client. Now, obviously, we've worked with thousands, almost at hundreds, but we've really worked with thousands at this point of chiropractors. And Vibrant was really the first church that we were able to dive in and really help grow with digital marketing from the launch and then really dialed it in during the pandemic. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how Vibrant was able to actually double in size through the pandemic. Whenever we were able to come back in person, we turned on digital marketing, turned on Facebook ads, turned on Instagram ads, really went hard at it. And we doubled our attendance from where we were before COVID. And so that being said, I really want to encourage you, pay attention to this episode. Pastor Michael is full of wisdom because first off, navigating a church through COVID was hard enough, much less navigating a church that ended up doubling in size. Now, I don't say that to brag. I don't say that to brag on myself. I say that to brag on Pastor Michael because of the incredible team that he's built up at Vibrant. And we're going to dive into a lot of that in this episode. So go ahead, put on your thinking caps, take out your notebook, and let's jump in. Welcome to the ChurchCandy Podcast, the podcast of sweet ministry success. I'm your host, Brady Sticker, and let's jump in. What is up, guys? I am here with my pastor, Pastor Michael Scobey with Vibrant Church in the Woodlands. Pastor Michael, how are you doing today?
I am great, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Excited to have you on as the first official guest. Obviously, I had to go with the OG. I mean, you officiated me and my wife. We've been on the launch team since not even day one, since like day negative 130.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we actually met on Skype before Zoom was even really a thing back then.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, a little bit of background for those of you listening. Pastor Michael was actually my wife's youth pastor whenever we were way back in the day when we were still in high school. And fast forward several years, he ended up officiating our wedding. Me and her moved off. I was going to Bible school in Dallas. And Michael posted on Facebook saying, hey guys, we're launching a new church in the Woodlands area. If you're feeling like you might want to move out here and help us, we'd love to have anyone's welcome to come join the team. And you probably posted that thinking no one's going to be crazy enough to actually move out here. But little did he know, he got a phone call from recent Bible school graduate Brady Sticker, and we were crazy enough to do it and move out there.
That was awesome, man. It was really a big faith builder for us because just trying to, you're trying to wrap your head around, okay, God has called us to plant this church, but we know that we can't do it alone. And so we reached out to many, many people that we knew. But at that point, you guys were in college and finishing up college, just wasn't sure where you guys were. And so for you guys to reach out to us, it was an incredible faith builder, which just really kind of gave us a lot of momentum.
Yeah. I mean, we were excited to do it. Excited. To, like, we're here, we're building our family, literally have a house and a kid here now. So like we're bought into the vision. So yeah, I'm excited to have you on the podcast. Today I really want to talk about one, planting not during the pandemic, but right before the pandemic, what that was like for you. And I mean, Vibrant is kind of an anomaly. I hear a lot of pastors, they're like, yeah, that's great that you guys grew during the pandemic, but like, how did you do it? And what were some of the key things there? And so yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. And I want to first ask, like, what, going from student ministry and worship ministry, like kind of what led up to the launch of Vibrant? Like, where was your heart at? Like, how did you know that God was calling you to launch a new church? Like, why not just go and, keep doing student ministry or worship ministry or taking on just like other endeavors? Like, what made you guys want to launch Vibrant?
Yeah. So, we've served in full-time ministry for close to 18 years now. And so that being said, we were serving in student ministry, in worship ministry, and really we were serving at a great church. We loved our church. And we knew that at a certain point we were going to age out of student ministry, right? There is a certain point where you're not going to be as effective in that role. And it's not necessarily anything about you it's more just it's not about you not being effective in ministry. It's about the culture changing, and students are changing in the age. You're getting further and further away from that age to be effective. And so that we saw that happening rather quickly for us. And so that being said, we knew that we were supposed to be doing something else, but we didn't know what that was. Our pastor really helped us kind of lead through that time. We thought about starting another campus of the church we were at, and really would have been happy doing that, would have been completely happy when Hurricane Harvey kind of changed everything for us. We ended up in kind of a wilderness season at an amazing church where they brought us in to help, lead their teams, and kind of almost like that next step right before a lead pastor, kind of an associate pastor coming in, doing the executive pastor thing, kind of leading teams, developing leaders, developing groups, things like that. And it was in that season that the Lord really leaned into us and really started out with my wife, to be honest with you. I kind of felt this, but I really needed the Lord to speak to my wife because she loves security, as all women do. And the Lord kind of spoke to her and it's like, hey, you guys are supposed to plant a church. This is supposed to happen. You're trailblazers. You're supposed to do this. And we're like, okay. That's when I kind of knew it was confirmation from God that we were supposed to do that, when my wife heard from God. And so at that point, she was all in. We moved to the area. Planting a church was, planting a church is never easy. Okay. It doesn't matter who you are, where you go, whatever. It's never easy. I will say that planting in our city, we absolutely loved it. And it wasn't easy, but it was easy, if that makes sense, just because we love the area. We love the people. The way that we built it is we called some of the most talented people that we knew and said, hey, will you move to the city with us? And many of them did. We had 16 people move to the city with us to plant the church, and incredible people. And those people that we've done ministry with from all over the nation, and they moved here with us to help us plant. And then others like Brady and Sarah reached out and said, hey, look, we just want to be a part of this. Let's do it. And they moved in, and we start developing this culture, and we start developing this family. Leading up to the pandemic, we launched in September of 2019. And we were going to be a portable church. And that was kind of the plan until we had an amazing opportunity hit us, and an investor on our team took care of a build out for a building for us. And so we had a permanent location from day one. And Brady, I've got to be honest with you, that was a huge saving grace for us leading into the pandemic, because as you know, going into COVID, all the schools shut down. And even in Texas, you couldn't get back into the schools until, August or September. Well, a church as young as we were, we did not have the momentum where we could survive online for 8, 10, 12 months even. Like, we could not do that. And so we had to get back in person rather quickly, do it in a safe and effective manner. But I know Brady, you were on the team. We talked about this early on. It's like, we've got to get back in person as quickly as possible to regain the traction, because we were about to go to 2 services already at Easter. And so at that point, we were able to get back in person 10 weeks in. And so 10 weeks into the pandemic. And so that being said, we knew that it gave us a unique opportunity. There were not a lot of churches open at this point. So we were kind of, it opened up a niche for us where there were people that were looking to go to church in person, and they would even come with a mask. Some would come without, but we wanted to offer them the opportunity to do however they felt comfortable. Well, we started running from the beginning. Really, we started running Facebook ads with Brady and ChurchCandy, but we kicked that up to another level. And we didn't really lean into the pandemic side of it, but we leaned into hey, you need hope, and we can offer you that. Our Savior gives you hope, and we can help. We can help you wherever you're at. If you need groceries, if you need if you need help. We paid so many people's light bill in that time that just didn't have money, people that didn't go to our church. And our church was so generous to be able have that opportunity to invest in people. Many of them come to our church today, and nobody else knows that we paid their light bill, but we did. And between that, just creating an awareness that we were open, we're here, we're having services on Sunday, we're going to do it in a safe, effective manner. But then that drew a lot of people in. That drew a lot of people. And in fact, in that season, we doubled. But like you said, like we said earlier, it just does not matter if we have all these people coming in, but we don't have the systems to take care of them. And so that is why, when I'm coaching church planters, I'm telling you guys, before you plant, you need to have systems ready for harvest. Okay. Systems ready for harvest. If not, I don't believe the Lord's going to send us to harvest we can't handle. He doesn't want to send us people that we're going to hurt because we're not ready to serve them. And so for us personally, we wanted to make sure that we had systems ready. So where Brady did an amazing job, him and his wife serving in student ministry at that time, they had a youth group ready, built from day one, ready to roll. Well, not many church plants had that. They did an amazing job creating a culture. Well, when people came in, we had a system that was ready to connect their family to that student ministry. Our connections team was ready. And the way our systems are laid out is that we have our executive team, which consists of our, associate pastor and, connections team and dream team coaches. And those are the people that kind of coordinate all of the directors and team leads from there. Well, all of our systems were set up where everybody was making a tangible next step when they came in the door. Everybody, we have to give them something to walk to. If they're going to Next, if you're planting with ARC, the growth, you're probably running the growth track. The growth track wasn't a perfect solution for us, so we kind of customized it and made it work for us. And so we got them through that. Well, then getting them connected to life groups, launching groups as quickly as you can. Don't launch the church if you're not ready to launch groups, period. Don't do it. Okay. Yeah. Launching the groups, getting people connected, and then having a true assimilation process where they can get not only involved on a team, but get discipled into a family. That is what you're looking for. And that's how we grew and how we were able to retain all these, most of these plan your visits that were coming through the door. It wasn't just visitors coming to get a bag and, leave and we never see them again. We're starting to disciple them through this process and always creating and leading them to a next step. And I know I'm giving you a really long answer here, Brady, but
no, you're good. You're good. I'm taking notes of other things I want to hone down on that you're saying.
This is great. But it kind of opens up other little, rabbit holes here, is that every person, when they come in, we've got to make sure to follow up with them and almost lean into them and make them say no, right? Make that person that's coming in say, oh, we found another church, or, oh, we're really not interested. Please stop. Like, we're going to follow up with them until they tell us not to. Now, we're not going to beat their door down. We're going to shoot them a text a week. Hey, we just thought about you. We want to send you a text, let you know we're praying for you. We missed you Sunday. Yeah. Or, hey, we're so glad that you were here. Next step one is Sunday. We'd love to see you there. Just letting them know that we are thinking about them. They're not just a number. They didn't just come in the door and leave and nobody thought about them. Like, we're very intentional about knowing things about them and saying, like, even making notes for our team, just saying, okay, this person has 3 kids. Their youngest plays volleyball and they do travel ball all the time. Hey guys, we missed you. We love you very much. I know you guys were probably out with travel ball this weekend, but just wanted to let you know that you were missed. We've received messages that said, hey, that was super impactful to us, that people cared that we were gone. And so that is how we grew in this time, systematically, how that worked. And it comes down to pastoring people.
I love that so much. And I think you can even take that a step further. Something that I've noticed is 30,000 foot view, right? To get a new guest to show up, you run ads to get them to plan a visit, right? Well, after they fill out that form to plan a visit, we start pastoring them right then, right? We don't send them an automated text that says, this is Vibrant Church. Thanks for planning a visit. We'll see you Sunday. No, they get a text and it's like, hey, this is Pastor Michael. How many people are coming with the Johnson crew? Right. And then we'll initiate a conversation in there to where I don't want to say as if, because they are automated text, right? But whenever they respond, it goes straight to your cell phone. and
Right.
you are able to respond, or someone on our team goes and actually responds and holds a conversation with them. And then we do other personal things like voicemail drops, and you do selfie videos, just to get like a personal touch in there. Because think of all the people that like have church hurt,
Yeah.
right? To where they've gone to church before and they were hurt by the ministry because they feel like the leadership or the people in that church didn't really care about them,
Right. Right.
right? And so I think that's great to get them assimilated and get those PYVs to keep coming back again and again, but also just to get them to show up the first time. I think a lot of people
Absolutely.
miss that step too.
Yeah, and once again, it goes back to the system, right? Because if you
Yeah.
have if you don't have a system, nothing's going to work. And so for us, when people respond back, I would love to be the person that gets to speak with each one of these people, but I don't have the time to be able to do that. Our team does an amazing job of when people respond, they're very quick to respond to them, and they respond as me. So I've had people show up, literally, Brady, people show up and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm the one that you text the other day." And I just know in my mind, I need to say, "Oh yeah, thanks. Like, it's great. I'm so glad that you guys are here." Right.
Yeah.
Because I know either it was an automated text or the team member did it. But as far as they knew, they're being connected personally to the church. And so that means a lot, that not only myself are, we're reachable, we're connectable, where they can speak with us, but then they can show up and put a face to a name. They're like, these are just real people, which is part of our vision.
Yeah. I love that so much. I love what you said earlier about if you're not ready to launch groups, don't launch, period. I love that so much. Tell me a little bit about how and why you think groups played such a part in the success of Vibrant throughout the pandemic.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in the New Testament church. Okay. That was the model for the way that we should do church. If it's not there, I don't think it's mandatory or necessary, but if it is there, I think you have to have it. And we find in Acts chapter 2, as soon as, they go out to kind of launch this church here, and we have the first message that's preached by Peter. The first thing they did was they went from house to house and they started gathering with people. And so if we're going to plant a church, we've got to be ready to meet from house to house with people and connect with people, and meet them on their level. And so for us, we didn't have just the deepest Bible study group ready to launch when we planted, but we did have a bunch of guys that love to play basketball. And we did have a bunch of people that love to go eat. And we launched those kind of groups, and they would disciple each other and grow and talk about what they're learning. And even some of them would just talk about the sermons from Sunday and just kind of get a deeper look at that. And we created groups like that. Student ministry was a life group as well. And so what that does is it connects people. You want to build people's faith, which you can do on Sundays, but you also want to build people's friendships. And so that's where they're going to be relationally connected to come back on Sunday to Sunday. If they come in and out, they don't know anybody, you're not going to keep them. It's just the amount that you're going to keep is going to be very low. But if you can get them connected to people that they're eating lunch with, that they're connecting with dinner, they can walk through some of the most hurtful seasons in their life, and they'll still stay connected with you because they're relationally connected with other people in the body. And that's really your goal as a pastor or as a church leader.
Yeah. Who's leading these groups? Is it other like pastors, other people on staff? Is it just anyone? Who's leading these groups that you guys have?
So for us, we do the free market group system where anybody in our church can lead a group as long as they've been through Next, which is our growth track, essentially. So if they've been through Next, they can do their own group. They would go through a group training and kind of be shepherded by the person on the executive team that is leading those groups. And so at that point, they're launching this group, and it kind of becomes their people, right? We really kind of empower these people to lead these people, right? The group leaders to lead the individuals in the group. And if there's something large that comes up, to share it up the group, because we know as our church grows, we can't touch everybody. We can't connect everybody. And as much as we would love to, we have to rely on developing leaders that can shepherd and pastor people. And so what that means is that we're taking the guy that runs an air conditioning company, and we're developing him to be able to shepherd and lead people, right? That way this is the person that's connected with them in every week anyway. When they have situations that arise in their life, it allows them to reach out directly to that person. And they don't have to say, well, I got to call the pastor. I'm in the hospital. I got to call the pastor. No, call your group leader. That's the person you're connected with. And, as that happens, that also filters up to the pastoral team, and we lead from there. But anybody in our church can lead a group if they've been through Next.
Yeah. And obviously, guys, I know the answers to most of these questions. I just know how to get Pastor Michael to say the awesome wisdom things that he's got inside his head. So another question I'm going to pretend I don't know the answer to. Okay, so a new guest plans a visit, or they just show up. What are some practicals, like literal things that you want to make sure your team does to where, next Sunday they show up, and then the next Sunday after that? Like, how do you get people to feel welcomed and get them assimilated?
Okay, so we've all read these studies about when people show up at your church for the first time, they're pretty much making their decision on whether they're coming back in the first 15 to 20 minutes they're there. So what that means is before you get to preach, they've made their decision. And so it doesn't matter how good you preach if your kids' ministry is not easy to get checked into. It doesn't matter how revelatory your message was if they can't find parking, or if they get nobody's there at the door to open it for them, or they get a frown and nobody shakes their hand. So we're really big into when people come on the campus, that first impression is a big deal for us. When they come in the parking lot, I'm the first one there. I'm out in the parking lot waving at people. Doesn't matter if I'm playing keys or I'm preaching that day. I'll go in when I have to. Before then, I want to be in the parking lot, waving at people, loving on people, shaking people's hand. And the first thing I do when they walk up to me, and now I don't get to greet every person, obviously, but as people walk up to me, if I don't know them, hey, my name's Michael. Have we met before? I think language is very, very important in leading to a next step. If we say, hey, I'm Michael, are you new here? Is this your first time? And they've been here for a month and they just happen to slip by me. At that point, they feel unnoticed. They feel uncared for, and they're going to go somewhere else. But if we say, hey, I'm Michael, have we met before? Well, if they say, yes, we met a few weeks ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. I remember now. That's great. And most of the time it jogs my memory and we can reconnect. But I always want to, when a new person comes, I want to have a smooth handoff. Okay. So when somebody comes in the parking lot, I'm going to walk them to the front door. One of our greeters is there to open the door for us. They will come inside, and I literally lead them to somebody else that is a greeter and say, hey, this is my new friend, Andrew. He's at the church. He planned a visit online, and this is Rhonda. She's going to take care of you. She's going to help you find everything you need. Kids check in, coffee, bathrooms, and find a seat in the worship center. They'll help you find everything. And I do a smooth handoff. At that point, they get a new guest gift. We don't require them to fill anything out. We get people to fill out Connect cards. Pretty much no problem. We don't require them to fill anything out to get that. They just get the new guest gift. We help them walk directly over to an iPad that is built specifically for guest check-in. That one station that is specifically ready for them. They don't have to wait in line. And so if they have to wait in line, that's a big turnoff. We don't want anything to deter them in the first 20 minutes. If they walk up to the cafe and they order a cappuccino and they're like, well, that'll be $2. And they're like, oh man, I forgot my wallet. That coffee's free. Like, it does not matter. That anything in that first 20 minutes, they're holding that bag. They could literally they could walk into my office and say, this is my office now. And it's theirs. Like, we want to make that experience as easy as possible for them. We help them find a seat, just making sure that they're friendly faces. They're finding the information that they're looking for, and they're not having a negative experience in any way. And so that's the goal for us. We try to systematically make that happen.
Yeah, that's so good, man. And I hear all the time new guests at Vibrant saying, wait, I just feel so welcomed, and this is just so awesome. And I've obviously been here for so long, and I'm like, really? Like it just makes me wonder, like, what other churches are doing and what other experiences people have. Because like, this is what I've been a part of for all these other years. And then before that, I was in Bible college, going from church to church, serving in different ministries. And because I was serving, I didn't really get that new guest experience. And then before then, it was the church that I kind of grew up in. And so I've never really had other than before we launched Vibrant, and we would go visit another church every Sunday. Other than that, I didn't have a ton of experience experiencing a church as a visitor. And
Right.
so, what do you think some of the biggest mistakes and the biggest, places where other churches might drop the ball whenever it comes to like their new guest experience? You might be listening to this and thinking, Brady, you guys helped Vibrant double in size, much less during the pandemic. What the heck? How did you do that? And I want to tell you about a cool free resource I put together for churches that actually walks you through step by step how we were able to use the Plan Your Visit funnel, Facebook ads, and our entire playbook in my new book, the Plan Your Visit Playbook. And this book, rather than, in fact, you can actually go get it on Amazon. I think it's listed for like $25. I actually want to give this to churches for free. So don't go get it on Amazon. What I want you to do, if you go to churchcandy.com/book, that's churchcandy.com/book, you can actually get a free copy of this book. Not like a PDF ebook. You can actually get a physical copy of my book. The book is free. I'll pay for the book. All I ask is you cover the cost of shipping. So go ahead, go to churchcandy.com/book to get your free copy of Plan Your Visit Playbook. Now, back to the episode.
It's all about culture, right? And culture is not something that you create, it's what you are. Culture is a mixture of what you create and what you allow. Okay. And so I would say that the things that I've seen serving in churches, even being a part of a church staff, so I've made these mistakes, is that we allow new guests to come in and we're just like, we're talking with somebody else, or our team members are talking with somebody else, and they go and they sit down and then they leave without making any meaningful connection.
Yeah.
That, if somebody does that, you're pretty much not going to get them back. I mean, that's why it's important for our team. We try to, with this culture, it's very important for us to say, hey, look, make a relational connection with them and lead them to a next step. What are their interests? What do they do? What is their, life work? Do they have kids? What are they passionate about? And find some avenue where you can connect them. If they have kids, we have kids life groups. Hey, you should get your kids involved in this little Jonah life group that our kids ministry have. They have a blast and they go out to the park and they like live out Bible stories. It's incredible. Go to our life groups page here. I'll show it to you on your phone. Just pull it up, and we help them and lead them to a next step. Oh, you're a young adult? Well, that's awesome. I am too. Well, I'm really not, but some of y'all are. Hey, let's go eat some lunch. Are you? I'd love to get to know you. Are you free Thursday? Let's go grab some tacos. It's on me. Let's do it. Hey, I'll do it. And just making sure that they have some kind of relational connection. And that's got to be the goal. I see way too many churches that allow guests to come in and out without some kind of connection. The other thing with this is having the next step that they can make the first day that they're there. I know that it's a lot of guests won't go to your growth track or your next or your assimilation process the first day, but a lot will. If you talk about it enough, if you talk about it in the right way, they will. Because if you make that impression and they're like, hey, I want this church to be my church. Well, if you're saying, hey, look, if you'll hang out for 45 minutes after church, we're going to take care of your kids. We've got snacks. We're going to teach you about our vision and our values after church today. We'd love to connect with you and come on into our next room. A lot of them will stay. And that's what we found out, is that we're always going to be running that play. We don't ever, I will say, not very, very rarely will we have a Sunday that we don't run the next play, which allows people to take a next step one or step two. I mean, we ran the play on Easter Sunday. We had 2 people join our team. We're going to run the play. Like Mother's Day, we're going to run the play. Christmas, we're going to run the play. Like, it doesn't change, because for us, we see the win is not when guests come in the door. The win is when people get assimilated and they join a team, because at that point, this is their church and they're invested in the vision and they're going to be connected and doing life and ministry with other people. At that point, that's when we win. Not when butts and seats is great, but that's not the win for us.
Yeah.
And so just kind of talking that through, I think guest experience is going to be huge, making sure that your people are asking the right questions. Language is everything. making sure that you're always complimentary when people come up. Man, I love those shoes. I love it. Your hair looks amazing. That's great. Always complimenting people, always lifting people up, make them like feel so great about themselves as they come in. And we're doing that because Christ was an encourager. Like he was a challenger, and there'll be time for that, but he was also an encourager, right? And so I want to be, when they come in the door, that's not the time to challenge them. That's the time to encourage them. We will challenge them. It's okay. And we'll let the word of God do that. And so that's kind of where we're at. That's just things off the top of my head when I'm kind of thinking through.
No, that's great. I love it. So you're talking about Next, our, version of Growth Track. A lot of churches, I'll hear them say, oh yeah, we do Growth Track once a month or every other month. And they make it a huge thing. And I really think that's a missed opportunity, because think of all the people that might come for a couple of weeks, but they're like, man, it's just so hard to get involved and da 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 da. But they just don't have the right pieces in place for their assimilation process when it comes to Next or Growth Track, whatever you call that. So walk us through the practicals of what, because I'll be honest, I've never been through Next. We went through our launch team training, which was basically Next 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. So walk through like what is Next, the practical stuff. What do we do? Is someone teaching it? Is it video? Like walk through what that looks like.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, what we did was we took the Growth Track material and we took all of the things from it that we wanted to use. Okay, there's a lot of great material that helps you, especially when you're planting a new church. But for us, it was very important that we presented our vision, which our vision is we're real people with a real passion to live vibrant life in Jesus. And so we broke those things down into 3 different categories. Real people, which is all about connection and groups and, authentic relationships. Real passion, developing, a strong faith life in Jesus and living vibrant life in Jesus. That's living out your design and your purpose. And so we break those down into 3 things. And so that being said, our first week is vision and values. We currently do a video teaching for that. I teach that on video. When they come to Next, they're going to notice there'll be a host right at the door with an iPad waiting on them saying, hey, my name is Trent. It's great to meet you. Let's get you checked in on the iPad. We're so glad that you're here for Next. They check in on the iPad. They let our kids team know that, hey, this person they're in Next. They're going to come check their kids out after Next. Okay. They come in, they take a seat. We got snacks for them, waters, and anything that they want. We do the video teaching. We do have a custom book that is printed, and look at that. I'm actually prepared. I actually have a Next book right here, and so it's all built in with fill in the blanks. And so you can actually, if you want to copy this digitally, I'll share this with anybody. It's made for our vision. And so, but they go through step 1 is all vision and values. I'm going to go through who we are as a church, what we believe, our government of our church. We have a ton of people, church people locally that have been hurt by churches and money. And so for us, it's very important that we're transparent with every dime where it goes. We tell them where every dime goes right there Next. Like we give them our percentages. We tell them, hey, this is the bylaws. This is how it happens. And so they work their way through step 1. Step 2 is all about, it's all about the assessments and getting them truly connected. Step 1, they kind of make a decision. I'm ready to be a part of this church. Step 2, they do the assessments, spiritual gifts assessments, personality assessments. We even look at some Enneagram stuff. Look at our teams. What are you passionate about? And our dream team coaches step in there with the host and our connections team. And let's help them find the right seat on the bus. And that's realistically how that works. And then we have systems that set up after Next where, okay, this is your team. You're going to shadow. This is your team leader. Let me introduce you to them. Then you're going to shadow on this team, get connected. All right. And so that's how our Next process typically works from a realistic angle. And hopefully I didn't miss anything there, kind of talking that through.
Yeah. So it's a 2-week process, right?
Correct. 2-week process. And we run it continually. So typically 4 weeks in a month, we're going to run step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2.
So one thing that, I kind of went through growing up, the church that I was involved in is I didn't feel like there was a great way to kind of be discipled as far as like I don't know, if I wanted to lead a small group or lead a team or do this, that, there was a lot of hoops to jump through, and your last name mattered, and all of those things. And one thing that I've noticed about Vibrant is how intentional you guys are about raising up leaders and giving people responsibility and some of these really cool things that, now looking back at it seems obvious. But why do you think it's so important to raise up leaders in your ministry?
So, really, the reason that I'm so passionate about it is because somebody invested in me. When I was a scrawny little teenager, that just was passionate about playing music, my youth pastor, Colin Webb, pulled me aside and gave me a nickname, called me Scobuck. And, it got me connected. And man, I started playing piano in church when I was like 13. And man, they put me up in a piano in the choir riser and didn't even plug my piano into the sound system. But I could hear myself. And as far as I knew, I was playing for everybody. And then eventually I developed and started playing for the orchestra and the choir and all the things. But it was somebody being passionate about me developing. It made me passionate about seeing other people developed. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I read Ephesians 4, that comes alive to me, like what my goal is as a pastor. And it should not be to, be the most followed on Instagram. I really don't care about that. I really don't, honestly. If I can develop as many people as I can, I truly believe that when I get there, Jesus is going to give me a high five and say, bro, you knocked it out of the park. Like, way to go. You developed as many people to live out their purpose that I gave them. I thank you for doing that. I think that's where I get the most fulfillment, because I feel like that's what the Lord wants us to do as pastors. And that doesn't matter if you're a lead pastor, a worship pastor, associate pastor, student pastor. Like, there are people under your tutelage that you should be developing. And let me give you a perfect example. I play keyboard, okay? And I lead worship. I'm an okay worship leader. I'm all right. I'm not great. And I know that. I'm okay with that. I could have, from the beginning of when we launched this church, said, you know what? I've done this for years. I'm confident in myself doing it. I'm gonna plant this church, and I'm gonna lead worship, and I'm gonna preach. And you know what? I know how to do announcements. I'll do announcements. I'll do the videos. I'll do the follow-up. I know how to do it. And nobody else gets to get involved with that. Okay. Nobody else gets to be involved with that. Or I can say, hey, look, I'm super passionate about reaching people and connecting people. And so, so it's super important for me to find out what God is wanting to use them in, and to develop them into that. Okay. So let's say I've got a person that comes to our church that's very passionate about music. They're not where they need to be. It's my job, because I am good at it, to help develop them into that. Okay. Because at the end of the day, now I'm 2.5 years into it. I play keys about once a month, and we have musicians that are moving in to be a part of a culture. We have guitar players that are being developed in our church, drummers that are being developed in our church. I mean, when you start developing leaders, they start getting passionate about what you're passionate about, because they know that you care about them. Right. And I just gave you the music example, but that goes across the board, even to like leading services and doing ministry moments. Pastors, your church needs to hear more voices in your church than just yours. I know we think that they want to hear from us all the time, and they may want to hear a lot from us, and that's okay. You're the shepherd, you're the under shepherd of that house, but it's important that you use other voices. Like for us, I'll shout out Brady here. He's an incredible voice, does an amazing job anytime he leads. So I wanted him to speak as much as he can, and as much as he's here, as much as he can to speak. We have other leaders. It's the same thing. I feel like our church grows because they hear a different perspective, but then also the leaders grow because they're getting opportunity to spread their wings and develop in what the Lord is wanting to do in them. So there is no loss except for our own ego. Then when we develop people, there is no loss besides our own opportunity, our own stage time, or our own thing. We win when they win. Like, nobody loses. The kingdom wins, the leader wins, the church wins, like everybody wins. And so that is the why of when everybody gets on our team, we're always trying to develop them into something else. They can start out, being an assistant in a kid's classroom. We're going to try to develop them to be a teacher in that classroom. We're going to try to develop them to the top level of what they could be. Can they be a director? Can they be a coordinator? Can they be, could they be developed into our executive team? Our connections pastors, Alan and Megan Walters, they were not pastors. They weren't. We helped develop them into this throughout time, and they moved here from another city and were developed before that. And so just developing them into the leaders that God has them to be. And if you help them get there, they'll go a long way to help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, so good, so good. And also, we're launching Vibrant College. Like, I've
Yes.
had so many people like, what is that? How are you guys like, like not even 3 years old, and you're launching like even some people that go to our church are like, what's up with that? Like, how? Like, it was almost like for some people it was out of left field, but like in a good way. Like, this is so cool. But like, where did this? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So that goes back to the why, right? We know for us to grow as a church, we've got to have as many people planting seed as possible. We're developing a lot of leaders, both young, middle-aged, older. That's great. But we wanted to have some kind of next step where they could really dial down and hone in on being the leader that God wants them to be. Okay. So we wanted to create an opportunity that was a formal education, that was accredited, that was part-time, that was affordable, and that they could do local in-house and intern in our church. Well, we were able to partner with Destiny Leadership Institute and Southeastern University to create Vibrant College. And what we're going to do is we run a part-time education course right here in the church where they meet in person 1 day a week. And we go through online courses, they go through lectures, they write papers, they do all these things. And then they also have leadership classes, courses in the evening time, but then they get involved and intern in whatever local ministry they want to be a part of. And so if they feel like the Lord's calling them to preach, we're going to get them involved in sermon writing and join our sermon writing team. If they feel like the Lord is calling them to be a part of, be a kids pastor, that's great. That may happen here at Vibrant Church, but it may not. It's my dream to actually develop people that we're not only, number one, hiring for our church, but we're also developing leaders that we're sending off to other churches. And we never want to take leaders from other churches to hire in here. Like, that's not our goal. That's why we're only opening this up to our church currently. And so, for us, in that 2-year process, if we can help develop them and say, all right, this is the purpose that you feel like the Lord is leading you to, we're going to help you hone in and get the biblical knowledge and the practical experience that comes with ministry to be able to make that happen. We're all in. And so our church is able to do that in a very affordable rate. And so we're launching that in fall of 2022. And we are so pumped. We've got a great number of students that are very interested and looking forward to see what the Lord does both in their lives and then also the effect it has on the local church. Because here's the thing, you invest in leaders, they're going to invest in your vision. And so we truly believe that as we develop these leaders, they're going to get involved in our church vision and our church is going to grow because of it. So everybody wins here. Everybody wins.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, I feel like it's a no-brainer, because I'm personally working with DLI, Landon and Dr. Phillip, with helping them with some of this because they're seeing what you guys are doing, starting Vibrant College, and they're like, okay, this is other churches need to do this. Because for those of you that don't know, DLI before has just been hey, if you're a student or just even not like a student age, like if you're 45 or in your 80s, like just go through this. It's an online Bible school program, right? And now they're really wanting to focus on partnering with churches to basically start like a white labeled Bible college, like an in-house internship program to where they can raise up their own leaders. And I think this is just such an amazing opportunity for other churches. I feel like it's a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you want to do this? Like, DLI, they give you all the resources, and it's super awesome that they've got that going on.
Makes total sense. And then on top of that, when they complete, if they don't decide that vocational ministry is for them, if they want, they can transfer 18 credit hours, just the base 18 credit hours, to Southeastern University and complete their degree. And then they have a bachelor's in whatever else that they want to do. They want to be a nurse. That's great. You have biblical ministry experience that you could use you want to be a nurse and use that as your ministry. My wife was that for years and years. You get the Bible college side of things, accredited biblical knowledge and leadership experience that comes with that. And then on top of that, we're going to be partnering with Theos U to create some electives that they'll be able to add even more accredited hours as they go through the process. And so that's going to be exciting in the future.
Man, that's so awesome. So awesome to see Vibrant doing this. And we're 2.5 years old. We're going to be coming up on year 3 this September. Well, Pastor Michael, it has just been an honor having you on the Church Candy Podcast. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to, hop on here. And, it's been great working with Vibrant. It's home church, his family, in being able to see just everything that God's doing through the ministry here in the Woodlands. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. So any final words before we wrap things up?
No. Thank you so much for having me today. To anybody out there that's listening and watching, I'd be honored to help you in any way. I do coach church planners and pastors all around the nation. I'd love to help you. You can reach me at michael@vibranthtx.com, and maybe we can put that in the show notes as well. Even if you just have questions, if you want to hop on a Zoom call, I'm here for you. I don't know everything, but I can tell you we've learned through experience of what to do, what not to do. And we're just trying to, anything we can do to help the Big C Church and the kingdom grow, we're all in to do.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thanks so much. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Wow, what an amazing interview. I just want to thank one last time Pastor Michael Scobey with Vibrant Church for joining us. Guys, thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Church Candy Podcast. Get your copy of Plan Your Visit Playbook, my brand new book, for free down in the description. Go to churchcandy.com/book. I also want to thank the group Soulbox for their song, Nobody Like You. That's the intro and outro to this podcast. Anyways, guys, have a blessed day, and we'll see you in the next one.